Well, hi everyone. I want to thank you all for tuning in today to hear a bit more about the internship and to ask a few questions. We have the Q&A bit down at the bottom where you can put in your questions, but a few of you sent some questions in, so I'm going to answer them first. Firstly, I'm Tom Pope. I'm head of development at Stellify, and with me here is Michelle Walsh, who is our head of production. So I'm the sort of development side here, and Michelle's here to talk production as well. So firstly, the first question we've got in is, what would a typical week look like for the intern, including what roles they will be able to take? So in a typical week, you would likely be with my team, with the development team. And on the whole, that is coming up with new ideas for TV shows. So that's the first kind of stage of brainstorming that we do, where we work off a brief, usually a channels brief or a brief we give ourselves of a kind of show we'd like to create. And then we brainstorm around how we do that. Or we could have a project that's already in with a channel, and that would mean that there'd be work around kind of research and stuff like that. And then the other stage that we often have in development is where we would be funded to do a sizzle, and then you would be out with a team on essentially on kind of a development stage of production, helping out on set or on location. So those are the three stages of sort of work that's done. So then we have a few questions from Michael McLaughlin. So you said in the video that the opportunity is there to get production experience, for example, on Millionaire. Would this mean there's possibility for the intern to travel to England for this experience, COVID restrictions permitting, of course? So Michelle, I'm going to hand that one over to you.
Yes, Michael, absolutely. We'd love to be able to give anybody that sort of experience. It will, as you rightly say, depend on COVID restrictions and just when we're scheduled to record, whether it's Millionaire or when we're scheduled to film any other production. Okay.
Cool. Is the production experience mentioned on the more logistical side of the coin, or is it practical, such as camera work?
Well, I mean, we'll not put you straight onto camera work, but the opportunity is there for you to train up or to learn about different aspects of production. So if that's something that you're particularly interested in, yes, of course, we'll give you an opportunity to work alongside our camera team. But what we'd like to do is give you a fully rounded experience in production. So it's both from logistical, practical, and whatever else that entails, really.
Cool. And then the last question, oh yeah, sorry, no, not the last one. This is COVID related and a few questions in here along these lines. Would the work be remote or in the office? So the quick answer to this is it depends on government restrictions. Our hope is over the summer we'll be going back in the office. We've got a nice new office, and we very much hope we'll be back there. Now, there could be some slight staggering whereby we have to be careful about the number of people who are in the office, and therefore different departments are given their days. That's true, isn't it, Michelle? Occasionally we would do that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a plan from post-Easter, is that we'll all move back, but on a staggered pace, but we'll see how the summer goes.
Yeah.
Very hard to know just now how that's going to pan out.
So I'll have to see. And then the final one, and this is about development, is a really good question. Have any shows pitched by an intern ever been taken forward into a commissioning phase? So I don't know whether a specific intern's idea has been commissioned, but the interesting thing in development is you almost forget kind of, you know, even of my ideas we've had commissioned, you know, I don't really remember the ones that directly came from me, because the truth is it's a sort of process whereby there's so much kind of cooperation and teamwork. All the ideas become part of yours, really. Certainly what I can say is there's definitely been ideas from junior members of staff who have gone on and been commissioned, and also ideas that weren't originally from an intern, that an intern has put a huge amount of work into, that was instrumental in getting it commissioned. So that's something that is important to say. Basically, you'll be given the opportunity to have the kind of input that would get ideas commissioned and be working on commissionable ideas. We treat the internship very much like a job, and coming on as being part of the development team doesn't mean that you're shadowing the development team. It means you're in the development team. Cool. Okay, so then we have Lucy McGrath. So asking again what the internship entails. So as we've kind of said, it's a mixture of development and some production. The truth is, the sort of the production parts that you'll do will be when we have a production going and a role that would best fit, because productions kind of move like, you know, they're an engine, really. So we need to have a production whereby we can fulfill you in a role, and we'd be looking to do that, wouldn't we, Michelle, in places?
Yes, and we're very busy in production at the moment, so we'd be very, I mean, it's very likely that you'll be out on production a couple of times during your internship, and there are lots of different opportunities and lots of different roles that you could look at.
And then another one of Lucy's questions is around online or working in the office. And then the age restriction on the internship, only age restriction is 18 and over. That's all. We have no other restrictions than that. Okay, so on to, and by the way, anyone who's on, if you asked a question and I didn't answer it the way you would like, feel free to jump in the Q&A and ask again. Matthew Stead, how has this internship helped introduce more young individuals into careers in the film industry in the long run? Has there been successful past interns? Really good question. Yes, all of our interns now work, all of our past interns still work in the media industry. I think our first intern is now probably a producer, I think. And she's no longer working for us. She's working for another company, Afro Mike, who we're close with. And she's doing incredible things there. Another one of our interns is working within the BBC at the moment. And our last intern, he now works with us. Michelle, you'll be able to talk a little bit about kind of Stephen.
Yeah, Stephen has been a very successful intern again, and he is currently a shooting researcher, and we're hoping to try and move up the ladder to a shooting assistant producer. But yes, he's somebody that has, he's been very, very successful with the internship and has worked really, really well with Stellify. Yeah.
So yes, we invest in this. It's in our interest for our interns to do well. Now the other thing worth saying as well is that kind of getting through to the interview stage of this, because we get so many applicants. Just getting through to the interview stage puts you on our radar. In truth, we try where we can to offer everybody who has had an interview with us a chance to have some work experience with us. And one person from the last intake, they came and did some work experience for us, and then they emailed me to let me know that that work experience then led them to go on to work in Mastermind, which is awesome. So they're now fully in the industry. And another applicant who got as far as the interview stage is now working for us full-time, is a key part of our development team. So, it's not just the interns. People who get as far as the interview stage then go on to have careers in TV, which is brilliant. We're really proud of that. Okay, so we have Dylan next. I was wondering what a full week would look like during the internship, like if there is any structure to the week or if it changes weekly basis. Would it mostly be remote working? So I answered this a little bit earlier, but it is worth saying at this point, actually. A week is sort of, as in it's Monday to Friday, 9 till 6. But it's, in terms of what you're doing, that could vary completely. Like we've had people, out at the moment in development, teams out shooting all over Northern Ireland just this week, so that can be one thing that you end up doing one week, and then next week you're back in the office. So it's not all binary, really, Okay, next we have Ross. So the working hours, as I say, it's kind of 9 till 6 on the whole. Does any role involve shadowing another person, or is it its own distinct role? That's an important question. It's its own sort of, it's its own role, really. You've been brought on as part of the team. You're expected to, come up with ideas and be creative. Obviously, we know that you'd be at entry level and the pressure would be off, but it's not a shadowing job. Now, that said, me and Michelle did discuss this, didn't we? In terms of what sort of shadowing opportunities there might be on production.
Oh, sorry. I got interrupted there by my son coming in trying to do homeschooling, so apologies for that. Shadowing work, I mean, really, again, it's a case of there are lots of different areas in the production. We like to give you as much hands-on experience as we possibly can. Shadowing, it may be an opportunity if you're interested in camera to be with the camera department for a little bit, or sound, or whatever it is you want to work. So yeah, it's open to lots of different opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Ross's last question, which is really good, is will there be feedback? Will there be kind of constant feedback? Yes, absolutely. And that will be with me. So, we'll put in time throughout the internship to sit down and go through everything that you've been doing, pros, cons, how we can help you better, how you can help us better, all of that sort of stuff. So it's all about kind of growing you, really. And it's 2 months, the internship, so and that'll go quickly. So it's very much a sort of kind of hands-on thing in terms of feedback. Okay, so Mary Claire has asked, if successful for the internship, would the interview stage be via Zoom? Yes, most likely would be. Yeah, it would be with myself and our head of operations, Vicky Taggart, because we won't be doing it in time to be face-to-face, I don't think. Okay, and then does it explore all departments, e.g. research or camera work? Yeah, in truth, now mainly it's production and development, but if there's something that you're interested in, if you're really interested in editing, and you're like, I'd love to know how post works, right? How does an edit house work? We will make that happen. Doesn't mean you'll get to sit down and edit. That's a bit of a, that's slightly more a side of it where, there's people who are trained and such. But you'll be able to go in and see how that world works. We will try to be as flexible as possible when it comes to your interests. I'd say that's correct, isn't it, Michelle?
It is. And I mean, with the editing as well, we have our own in-house edit suites, which also gives you an opportunity to be able to every now and again sit in and see how that works.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so I've got a few from John. John asks, well, working in the development, however, once successful applicant commences the internship and they start to show interest in a different department, can they move there? It depends what opportunities there are. So if you're interested in production, but we don't have any productions on, you can't go to production. However, if there are spaces, and it's like, look, I'd really, really love to move on to a production and fully do production. And Michelle, if there's a space, you'll try and accommodate.
Yeah.
Sweet. So then there's another question from John that's really good. I know the program is for beginners. If a candidate has experience within the industry in post-production admin role and was passionate about the content that Stellify creates, and they're finding it difficult to move into development, would the internship still be for them, essentially? Long question, but that's what I think you're getting at. Yeah, absolutely. It's important to say, past experience in something like a post house or something like that won't work against you in this. Equally, if you have no experience at all of television or even studying television or media, that won't work against you either. There's no kind of predominant roles. If it's someone who's had, quite a few runner roles and stuff like that, that we wouldn't go for in terms of production, because it feels like, you'd already have a foot in the door. But yeah, if you've done admin roles in post-production and you're wanting to move to production/development, absolutely. And then we have a rough idea of dates for when it will commence. Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're saying July, August are probably going to be our months.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Cool. If successful, what day-to-day responsibilities can an intern expect, and what training will be provided before an intern can begin the placement? That's from Chloe. So I'm just going to say one thing quickly. There'll be no training before you start, because you won't need any, is the honest truth. There's not going to be anything that you won't be able to handle. But Michelle, it'd be interesting to know, because I've gone through a little bit of day-to-day for development, but it'd be interesting to say what day-to-day sort of stuff could be done on production.
Well, day-to-day production, on the training side, you will get basic training such as health and safety training, and we have data protection training and legal. You can get involved in what we call our legal startups for each production. So that gives you an insight into the legalities behind production, which is, if it's an area you want to move into, is extremely important, not just the practical side. But you'll day-to-day, it'll really depend on what the production is. And if you're involved in a production in some level, you'll probably get carried through potentially from part of the prep into the production, the planning meetings, the technical meetings, and then see how we schedule out the production into the editing time. Okay.
Nice. Very nice. Okay. And then I had a few of these questions, and they're really, really good. So Chloe's asked, and I know Summer and Megan have asked on here what Stellify's values are, and gone, what currently are the values and goals of Stellify Media? What type of personality thrives in the workplace? This is interesting. Do you want to go first, Michelle, or shall I?
I'll let you go first, Tom, on that one, and then I'll dip in. But it is a great question, and
it's really good. It's really good.
And it's also one of the reasons why Stellify is such a great place to work for, I would also say.
Yeah. I would say the sort of the culture of Stellify is that we're collectively ambitious and creatively ambitious. We were started by Matt Worthy and Kieran Doherty, who were two big TV show developers working for another company, and they branched out on their own to start Stellify. And it's my belief, I joined back in the early days, these were two people who care about how other people are feeling and how they are working creatively, and wanted to create a company that would kind of punch above its weight on a global level, pitching to channels all around the world and making the biggest possible non-scripted shows it could ever make. But with that, have a culture where everybody is looking forward to going to work and looking forward to being creative and supporting each other in doing that. So there's a sort of, it's hard work at Stellify. It is hard work. We are trying to compete with everybody else out there. But we also support each other hugely well. We've been voted in Broadcast Magazine. We've been voted in the top 10 greatest places to work in television, which was phenomenal. And we're also constantly shortlisted in the New Voice Awards for new talent, best production company for new talent. So I think our values are for whoever comes into Stellify, no matter how new they are to the game, no matter how experienced they are, they're to be heard on an equal level to everybody else. You know, not that we don't have hierarchy, but we care about what everybody does. When I first started in TV, there was a lot of, you know, you have to come in, you have to make tea, you have to make coffee. Has never, ever been the thing at Stellify. Like, you come in, we want your ideas, we want your creativity. You know, we're selective in this process because we're wanting to find people who are ambitious, but as well, you know, are kind and good, and will make everyone else in the company, you know, feel kind of blessed and lifted in the work that they do as well. Rambled a bit there, Michelle.
No, but it's
what do you think?
Well, I mean, it's exactly what you said, and it's a team effort in Stellify. You're not on your own. You're there with the team. You're looking after each other. It's just it's a good atmosphere to work, always be working together from development right through to production, and you're always given the opportunity to grow. If you're particularly interested in something, everybody is there to help you get and achieve that goal. You know, no matter how high up the ladder their role appears to be, they're there ready for a call or a chat or a discussion to see how we can help you be better at your job. And that's I think, really, really important.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Okay, cool. So then we have Ross Wilders has asked, for the application process, do you want applicants to focus on knowledge of the company? Again, great question. Yes, that is part of it. Absolutely. We expect people to know about us and what we do and be genuinely interested. I've spoken to people before, and now bear in mind, right, like, getting into TV is hard, and I understand people want to take roles when they come up. But I remember talking to somebody who was interested in the internship, but slowly as we were talking, you know, he kind of came around and was like, I am interested in scripted. And I was like, dude, don't apply, because it just won't be fulfilling, you know, and we won't get the best out of you, and you won't get the best out of us, because, you know, this internship is for people who want to make unscripted TV, you know, and that doesn't need to be definitely entertainment and fact entertainment in the first instance. You know, you could be interested in documentary. It's absolutely fine. We've done documentary. But you got to look through that catalog of shows that we make and go, yeah, that is where I would love to work on one of those shows. And then, as you know, as Michelle said there, knowing what we're about and knowing what we do, and knowing that you'll fit is really important in the application. You need to convince us, you know, that you're the exact kind of person who's going to come into the teams at Stellify and, you know, just be as creative as possible. Okay, Megan Doyle. So from your own personal experience, what pathway did you take in order to get your foot in the industry? Did you start off straight away working in television? I'm going to throw that to you, Michelle.
Okay. Well, look, you'll find everybody's experience is slightly different. I actually went and did a law degree. Didn't fancy ending up in the law environment, but I wanted to use it for something else. And so when I came out of that, I did a sort of local media course, and I was just very, very fortunate that I ended up with it wasn't an internship, but it was a work placement with a company that makes television commercials. And they were great for me. I started off as a runner, production assistant, and then I went up the ladder into production management, which is what I'm currently doing at the minute. It's not essential to have a law degree. It's not essential to have a degree of any sort. It's about ambition and enthusiasm, and if you want to get in, you'll get in. You just have to go.
Yeah. Well, so I didn't know you did law. That's fascinating. We did school day. For me, I did a slightly more traditional route. I did film at uni, and then I tried to get into the TV industry, and it was a nightmare. It took me a year and a half to get my first unpaid internship in TV, and then I worked across news and current affairs, children's, documentary, lifestyle, popular factual, a little bit of scripted, and then I found myself. Came over to Northern Ireland as part of the AIM High scheme, and I met Kieran and Matt when they were at another company, Wild Rover, and from the moment I first met them, I knew I wanted to work with them at some stage. They were just really cool. And the moment I heard they were going out on their own and that Sony were backing them, I'd begged them to hire me, because it wouldn't have cost them anything at the time, because I was on an internship with NI Screen, and luckily they took the free labor that they got. So yeah, and as Michelle says, there is so many paths in, so many. So it doesn't matter your sort of background. I know Maeve McLaughlin, who used to work for us and has been a commissioner recently. She had loads of jobs before TV. She didn't get into TV until she was 30. And because she's so good and so ambitious, she went straight up the ladder, really, really quickly. So it's all doable. It doesn't matter your background. Okay, Nathan, would the intern solely develop ideas for new shows, or would they pitch ideas for new seasons of ongoing shows as well? Good question. So, Michelle, a show that we're already making doesn't often change, does it? Or does it?
As in the format of the show?
Yeah.
Really, if it keeps going, you generally keep along the same lines of the format. It might tweak slightly, but not largely.
Yeah. So there wouldn't be much of that usually. Occasionally there's a question thrown in from production of suggested talent or something like that, and that goes to everyone to have a bit of fun with. But yeah, on the whole, you'll be developing ideas for new shows, or not new shows as in you have to come up with a new idea, but here's the idea, now we need to sell it, and then there's a lot of work to be done in that bit. How large is the development team? Very good question. Fairly big these days, and it is split in two. This is from Peter. So we have what's called the ideas team and the sales team. Our ideas team are 4 people. They'll be the main team that you'll be joining. They are awesome. Their job is awesome. They get to brainstorm all day thinking of great ideas and being creative, which is very, very, very fun. And then the sales team, which is more my department, really. The ideas team is headed up by a brilliant producer called Jim, who kind of takes control of them. And the sales team is 3 of us, and we are in charge of kind of editing, creating what's called treatments, which are like presentations essentially, and doing pitches to channels. So all in all, 7 people, I think, in development, which for development is fairly big. If you get any bigger than that, it's problematic, I think. Okay. Hello. I was wondering, what are the working hours? Is it a standard Monday to Friday 9 to 5 job in Belfast, or are weekends involved? Tends to usually be 9-ish to 6-ish usually, but Michelle, you can talk on the sort of weekend stuff and how that works.
If and when you're involved in production, it will really just quite often I say quite often, it really depends on you're driven by location, talent availability, etc., as to whether we're filming during the week or on a weekend. It can happen at last minute, so you kind of need to be prepared just to jump in when you're needed to, and adapt whatever that schedule is. So yes, in a short answer, weekend work is possible. But if you do weekend work, we make sure that you get time off as soon as possible after that to make up for it.
Yeah. Often the weekend work tends to be quite fun, shoots and stuff like that. Okay, perfect. In a typical working week, how often are you in the offices or on locations? This kind of goes back to what we were saying. No week's the same, is it, Michelle?
No, it's very hard to judge at this point because some productions are bigger and require more location work. Some productions are very small. A typical working week, you'll find you're probably on production, you could have 6 weeks running where you're in the office all the time, and then you have another 2 out on location. Difficult to judge. It's a bit of a mixture.
Yeah. How many interns have there previously been? There have been 3. Unfortunately, and this really gutted us, was we weren't able to run the internship last year because it was 2020 and it was madness. And we just were not able to facilitate, and it wouldn't have been fair, was the truth of it. Everything was so up in the air. Whoever came in just would not have got the kind of TLC that they deserved. But there have been 3. I always sort of forget the number because we've stayed in contact with other people who we met and other people who interviewed have worked for us and vice versa. So it feels like it's way more than 3, but it was 3 successful applicants. Megan again, did COVID impact your job significantly? What proved to be the pros and cons of working from home? Michelle, I want to hand this to you first because it really impacted production.
Yes, I think it impacted every business, slightly different ways. I think we were very, very nervous this time last year when it became a working issue. But actually, it's funny, I'm sure, Tom, you might agree, is that when you're faced with something like that, you have to really work creatively very hard to come up with a solution very, very quickly. And actually, that's quite good fun. And Tom will elaborate on the development side of it. Certainly from a production side of it, we're still working on COVID. We will be working on COVID for quite a while. But what that's meant for us is it's challenging, but we come up with different ways of working. For example, when we first went into lockdown, we got a fantastic commission from Channel 4, very quick turnaround. And what we were able to produce from a production point of view is that we looked at ways of working remotely. You had your remote cameras, you had your contributors setting up their own cameras and sound, etc. And it just adds a whole other aspect to production, but it was great fun. And it was a really interesting way of finding out different ways of working. So look, there's pros and cons with every sort of production and ways of working, but it makes it more challenging. And it's actually a great way of learning new techniques. From the point of view of working from home, our team worked brilliantly. Everybody, because of that ethos within Stellify, everybody is always very enthusiastic about their work and very dedicated to it. So working from home wasn't an issue at all. We had regular catch-ups, we had regular Zoom meetings, Teams meetings, whatever way, just to make sure that everybody was okay. It was never a question of avoiding work or anybody avoiding, just to make sure everybody was happy with how it was going.
Yeah.
So from my point of view, it was great.
Yeah. We did okay as a business as well. We reacted quite quickly and got a few commissions. We noticed very quickly. The funniest was Celebrity Snoop Dogs, which was putting cameras on celebrities' dogs to get a property show, which was ridiculous. And you could only ever make that show when the entire world's ending from a pandemic. But we went for it. So that was really, really cool. That was brilliant. And that was our first ever Channel 4 commission as well. So, it was a huge achievement. And then also we reacted very quickly to get a brilliant series on ITV about all the millionaire winners. And that again came from, okay, we can't really film very much, but we could do a clip show really, really well, a brilliant archive show. And we've got Millionaire, and there's so many brilliant stories there, especially with the Coffin Major and stuff. It was like, right, okay, let's jump on the back of that and make that series. So we moved quite quickly. It was interesting because we kind of feared the worst at first in development, that our commissions would dry up. So like I live with one of our producers as well in development. So me and him kind of hunkered down in our house. Filled the walls with whiteboards, and it was a really intense few months, to make sure that we got a couple of things away to help us tread. But it was brilliant. It was really, really brilliant. So yeah, we managed it. Do you know the most difficult thing was, and it's getting better now in development, was it's hard to create when there's no stimulus from the rest of the world. Everybody else was stuck in their homes, right? You create from things that you see and hear around you, and instead it was, you know, the whole world was on pause, and that was difficult to, you know, to gain sort of ideas out of it. So the next question is about we mentioned that previous interns work for a further year. What do the opportunities for growth look like obtaining further employment in Stellify Media? Really good question. So I'll start off by saying that unfortunately we can't guarantee extra employment, because it absolutely depends of the peaks and the troughs that the company's in terms of, you know, our development department's already very big at this time. Other times with interns, it was smaller and there was a place. However, you know, with other interns as well, a production had been started up at the same time, and they could segue straight into that production, and that was grand. So although we can't guarantee extra work afterwards, often, you know, what we're really happy about is that usually the intern who gets the job is phenomenal. They come in, work really, really hard, become a seamless part of Stellify, and then it just becomes when their internship is up, it's about, okay, we need to keep them. Where are we putting them? You know, and we've made that work before in the past. So that could happen this time. It could not, but all it is hard work, really. So Peter, are you able to apply to the internship in future years if you were unsuccessful this time around? You absolutely are. Yeah, absolutely. But my hope is, if I'm honest, if you get as far as like the interview stage, you stay on our radar anyway. And even if it isn't with you, with us, we would want to help you meet other companies as well. So on the whole, everyone who like interviewed for us didn't apply the next year because they were usually already in at some point by then, but you absolutely can. So Ian said he also spoke to Brendan Hughes at Turn TV on the RTS Careers Fair, and he suggested applying for this. Is it helpful to find opportunities this way? By that, I'm taking it you mean by talking to other people in the industry, or just by applying to this. I can answer either. Yes, this is a really helpful way of finding opportunities by applying to internships like this, because it can get you face time, but also by, you know, talking to other people like Brendan, other people in this industry. That is also the steps that you start taking to get in, essentially. During that year and a half it took me to get in, I just kept taking meeting after meeting after meeting until someone I met with was like, I remember him, I'm going to get him in and see how he does. Okay, so I'm just looking for oh, here's one. And Nathan, what would be your favorite thing about working for Stellify Media? Michelle, you first.
Can I say Christmas parties?
Yeah.
And particularly because we haven't had one in 2 years, so we're desperate for the next one.
Yeah.
Look, I think realistically, it goes back to what we were saying before about the values within Stellify. It's a team. It's great fun. We enjoy our work and we enjoy working together, and that's the most important thing. So, you know, when you wake up in the morning and you find you don't want to go to work, that's the problem. That doesn't happen for me personally at Stellify. It's a good place. It's good fun. It's good vibe. And
yeah. I think that's my favorite thing about working for Stellify, in truth, is my job is, you know, hugely stressful and hard work, as television is, but you don't feel it really at all. You enjoy it because you enjoy the company you're doing it for. And, you know, when you're successful, when we get commissions, when our shows do well, when we win awards, everybody wins those awards. Like, you know, they're not for Matt and Kieran or me or even Michelle. They're, you know, they're for everyone to kind of bask in the glory of. and we do go off on our Christmas pies. It is lit. So yes, they are also our favorite things. Another one from Nathan is how many projects could the intern be working on simultaneously, whether that's researching on one or being on set for another. In development, you'll find you are on a whole rack of projects, kind of all week, essentially. One day you'll be on one project, next day, next project, next day, next project. In production, though, you'd just be on a production, and that would be your production, because you can't be on more than one, because my God, one's enough. I'd say that's true. Michelle?
Yeah, no, one at a time. It'll give you that opportunity to see it through, hopefully from the beginning of it right through to the end of the actual production. So you can see how the whole process works.
Yeah. Shannon asks, how can you stand out in the internship application? Good question. You gotta love telly. You have to love it. And I mean love the real nitty gritty of it. And by that, I don't mean, in the question where I asked for your favorite TV show is to say RuPaul's Drag Race is well good. Why is it good? What's great about it? Why is that a massive hit? What is it about its tone that has so many different people watching it? Like if there's a drama that you absolutely love, and you can talk about drama in those things, why is it a great drama? Like, why is Succession so brilliant? What makes that show so great? Even if it's Come Dine With Me, why is Come Dine With Me such a hit that's been running for over a decade? I want to know that level of kind of not even knowledge, it's interest, that you care that much, that's the kind of aspects of television you really like. And it's knowing about us as well as a company, being able to just research us enough to know what the crack is with us, essentially. Katie, are there certain travel requirements needed for an applicant? Would being able to drive be necessary? No, not driving.
It's not necessary. I will say, though, it's good if you can drive. When you get into production, it's a useful skill to have, and it's something that I would always encourage people, if you can, try to get your driving tests.
Yeah, it definitely won't do you out of this internship.
No.
But as Michelle says, absolutely right. You should get a driving license if you can. And in terms of travel, it's Belfast based when we're in the office is all. Just making sure you can come in. But we'll work with you on that. Is there any aspects of the job role that past interns have struggled with, and what kind of support was given if needed? Good question. I'll answer the first bit, and then I'll hand to you, Michelle, about support and such. I don't think they hugely struggled with anything, not major. I think they know. Look, the truth is, the way I like to say it is, at Stellify, you're in the deep end with a life vest, and us holding on to you to pull you out at any time. So if anything's a struggle, if the work's too hard, or you don't understand something, or you're unclear on something, you just ask, and we help. That's all there is. And I think that's why they never had any genuine hard struggles, is because there was never a feeling that they were out of their depth, because we wouldn't allow that to happen, is the truth of it. But now let's say that you do struggle with absolutely anything. Michelle, we have kind of things in place anyway, don't we?
Well, there's a couple of aspects. Your support is built into the team that you're working with. We would like to think that you've got that support there automatically on a day-to-day basis. If there was something that you felt particularly concerned about, or you needed a little bit of help upon, that's just a case of your line manager. And we've lots of different options there, whether it's practical training or if it's any other support. I mean, the company as a whole offers all ranges of support, even up to counselling if people needed that. If they were struggling a little bit, things like we'd find if somebody's working from home, feeling a bit isolated, we can get some, we can provide somebody for you to chat to about that. But I think on the whole, the general day-to-day support is there within your team, and that's why this works within Stellify. Yeah,
that's absolutely right. We very much support, and as Michelle says, during this time, what we have done is we find ourselves sometimes with our employees having to say to them, like, day off, take a day off, or longer, because we pay attention, especially during these times. It's very easy to forget that your home becomes your office and you're just constantly working. And we want to avoid any burnout with anyone. Next question is quite a funny one. Would interns be able to participate as contestants on upcoming shows? No. I'm afraid not. Now, what you can do is help test them. That happens. We have loads of quiz run-throughs when we have quiz shows in development, and all of that kind of stuff. You absolutely can do. One of our trainees, they were on the Aim High scheme, but similar sort of role to the internship, got to sit in the chair and do a run through of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire with Jeremy Clarkson. So that's as good as it gets. So there's that, but no, I'm afraid you can't go on TV as one of our, you can't win $1 million just because you're working with the company who Wants to Be a Millionaire. But I like the fact that you tried. Okay, so Ian, I take it that the internship is based in Belfast. If you currently live in Derry, Londonderry, is that a problem due to restrictions? No, I think we will try and find a way to get that to work. It'd be lovely if you can be in the office sometimes, whenever possible, but we will try and find a way to work it out. I mean, we've just done an entire year on Zoom, so 2 months is not going to cause that much of a problem. So yeah, no, we would try to make sure that it does not matter.
And also just to say that there is no travel restriction, there's no problem. If you're going to work, if you're working in our industry, if you need to travel from Derry to Belfast, that's fine. You can do that legally. There's no issue.
Yeah. Megan's asked, I have experience with factual documentaries. Would you say work will be similar for creating factual television? Yeah, I think so. Like it depends what kind of factual documentaries you mean. I mean, it's all pretty transferable skills, in my opinion. Is that the dog?
No, that's child this time.
Okay. I have a few questions that are a bit similar. How many people that apply receive a place on the internship program? 1 at the moment, we think. We are considering possibly maybe in future whether it's more than 1, but at this moment in time, we're thinking 1. Can more than one person have the opportunity to become an intern in the year? Yes, again, probably. And we haven't ruled anything out, but it's looking likely it'll just be the 1. But that's something as well we may very well make a decision on after the interview process. Oh, I know it is so hard to choose, but what has been your favorite production so far? For me, it was Flinch, because it was a game show on Netflix. It was unreal, and it was just fun and mad, and I just really enjoyed that. And from a development perspective, getting a show on Netflix is the holy grail. What about you, Michelle? I'm
going to narrow it down to my time with Stellify. I've been with Stellify for just about 2 years now, nearly. Because beyond that, A, I can't remember, and B, it's just too difficult to choose. In Stellify, I think probably actually it was Snoop Dogs, because from a production point of view, with production management, you're so used to being hands-on and on location, making sure everything works. that was just a huge challenge because it was under lockdown. We were all working remotely. We were finding new ways of working, and hey, it's working with putting cameras on dogs. It couldn't be more fun. And ridiculous. But
yeah,
that's
ridiculous, but brilliant. Will you be disadvantaged if you have a few days over July or August where you won't be in the country, still able to work from your laptop? Blah, blah, blah. No, absolutely not. It'd be grand. I mean, there'll be chances to take days off as well. But yeah, remote working is part of what we do now, and I don't think, any of that will be a problem. What is the workplace environment like? Is it serious or relaxed? It is most definitely relaxed. It's funny, isn't it? It's relaxed. It's not quiet. It's sort of when we're all in an office together, it's loud, especially me. I have the loudest voice. It's very irritating for everyone else. And I mean, it's serious in terms of we take our work extremely seriously. I know how ridiculous strapping cameras to dogs sounds, but you have to take it really, really seriously. So yeah, we do take our work seriously, but we're about coming in and having fun. I'm of the opinion that a company, a production company, or any creative company can't be creative if it isn't a fun, relaxed environment. I don't see how you do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we take it serious and that we work hard, but we play hard too. It's just a balance between all of us.
Yeah. And when we're all allowed to go to the pub again, I'm sure we will make the most of it. What's your favorite project that you've worked on? Yeah, kind of answered that. However, sometimes there are some ideas in development that never see the light of day. Unfortunately, I can't tell you what they are, but a few of them have been awesome, and so much fun to work on and so much fun to create, and a bit crushing when they don't get developed. But at the same time, you weave in and out of different lives and aspects of life when you're in development. All of a sudden you'll be a complete expert on the paranormal just because one idea you're developing, and that's fascinating. Other jobs you don't venture into other areas, so that's what's kind of fascinating. What is the pay rate for interns? Michelle, do you have this info?
I don't actually, I'm sorry to say, but we can try and get back to you.
Yeah, we can find out. If you have that question, please email me, tom.pope@stellifymedia.com, and we will get that info to you. Apologies, our head of ops who has that info is away at the moment. Okay, so the last question is, Orla, considering that we are interns and this is a short-term role, what is an intern's value to you as a company? That is a great question. I'll put it to you this way. Let's take the word intern out of it and put that together in the word trainee, right? So everybody who starts at the bottom of Stellify. So we build ourselves through the people that we bring in. We're not one of those revolving doors of companies on the whole. And that in many ways wasn't by design. That happened as we grew. So I came in as a trainee, right at the very bottom, and I'm now head of a department. As I say, Maeve McLaughlin, who I mentioned earlier, came in as a trainee, stayed right up until she was a producer before she went on to become a commissioner. We've had a bunch of people start with us as runners and work their way right up. We had someone come in as an operations team assistant, Rachel, who's now, is Rachel a researcher with us? Or is, yeah. She moved from one department that was all the company admin straight over. And as I say, our last intern, Stephen, is going through a training process whereby Michelle is building him up to be a shooting AP, and that's just going to grow and grow and grow. So to us, the intern is extremely important to us, massively important. I care about all the interns who've came through, even when they're in other companies. I just want them to do well. because, you know, this is a long process and a long part of time out of like my day, out of my life, out of Michelle's, out of Vicky's, to, you know, to curate this, to find the best possible people. And, you know, so, you know, when you're brought in, you're not brought in to make us tea and coffee, or you're brought in to help grow the company, and be part of that. So I wouldn't even be able to give you a figure of the value, but I would just be able to say hugely valuable, like hugely valuable to us.
I think talent is the backbone to you know, a company like Stellify, and that's what we're always looking for. We're looking for new talent, and that's what we'll always invest in, because it pays dividends at the end.
Yeah, absolutely right. And then we have one in the comment section, came from Ross, that I've seen that's important. Will every unsuccessful applicant get feedback on their application? I'm afraid not. And that is because we get a huge volume of applications. We simply don't have the time to give feedback. I do apologize for that. I do know that's difficult. We just simply can't because of the volume. However, if you get to the interview stage, you absolutely get feedback, 100%. But yeah, unfortunately not, and I am sorry about that. I think that is pretty much all of the questions that I can see, Michelle.
Well, there's one at the end. You don't watch a lot of television, a lot of content like documentaries or the likes on YouTube. Would that decrease your chances?
Oh, hold on. Sorry,
I mean, can you see it? It's right at the bottom.
Can you read that to me again? Sorry, Michelle.
What if you don't watch a lot of television, but watch a lot of unscripted content like documentaries or stuff on YouTube? Would that decrease your chances?
I would say no. I certainly wouldn't say it's a reason not to apply. I mean, I'm of the opinion that content is content these days. Traditional television is what it is. I pitch to YouTube, you know, and pitch to the SVODs and stuff like that. It's all an amalgamation. It's all content, you know. Truth is, on the whole, we work to our suppliers, which are mainly BBC, ITV, Channel 4, but not entirely. And often, actually, you know, a great idea doesn't need to fit what they want anymore. A great idea just needs to be an idea people will want to watch. And I'm of the belief that, you know, taking out how shows are made on YouTube and other you know, other platforms, like, you know, there's a lot of creativity there, a huge amount, more than's on television, actually, I think. So no, don't take it as a reason not to apply. Just, you know, get yourself up to date a bit on other TV as well that we would do. Cool. I think that is all the questions. Am I correct?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. Guys, that was brilliant. I really enjoyed that. It was great to answer all your questions. By the way, if anyone emailed me today with questions that I haven't answered on this, forgive me. It's because I've been away from my emails. I will answer them over email. But listen, this has been brilliant. I hope it's been helpful. And keep yourself kind of connected to all of our socials for more information about the internship. Any more questions that you have, do email me. I will answer them whenever I can. But yeah, it's been brilliant. Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.